I clean houses for a living. It's not the life I dreamed of when I left Wyoming 2 years ago, hopping to make it big in New York City. But it pays the rent. Most days, I scrub penthouses for people who will never know my name. People who see me only as the girl who makes their marble countertops shine. And honestly, I'd made peace with that, until the day I stepped into Michael McGree's penthouse and saw a portrait that changed everything. It was a painting of a boy I once knew, a boy I'd grown up with in the orphanage. That moment pulled me into a mystery that had haunted a family for nearly 20 years. Before I tell you how it all unfolded, I have to ask, have you ever recognized someone from your past in the most unexpected place? Let me know in the comments below. And if you love stories about fate, hope, and impossible reunions, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next one. Now, let me tell you about Oliver, and how a simple cleaning job led me back to the boy I once called my best friend. I grew up in Meadowbrook Orphanage in Casper, Wyoming. I don't remember my parents. I was left at a fire station when I was just 3 days old, wrapped in a yellow blanket. No name, no note, just me. The hospital named me Tessa. The state gave me the last name Smith. And just like that, I became another file in an overwhelmed foster system. Meadowbrook wasn't a terrible place. The staff did what they could with what they had, but it was lonely. Kids came and went, some got adopted, others didn't. Most of us just existed in between, waiting for families that might never come. When I was 6, a new boy arrived. His shirt had a small embroidered word on it, Oliver. The police thought it might be a brand name, but since he couldn't remember his real name, they decided to call him that. I remember the day he came. It was late summer. He was 7, thin, dark-haired, with blue eyes that looked far older than his face. He didn't talk much. He didn't play. He just sat in the corner, staring at nothing. The other kids whispered, "He's weird, something's wrong with him." But I didn't think that. I thought he was sad. One day, I sat next to him with my coloring book and offered him a crayon. "Do you want to color with me?" I asked. He looked at me for a long time, then quietly took the crayon and drew an airplane, detailed, perfect. That was the beginning of our friendship. For the next 6 years, we were inseparable. We did homework together, stole extra cookies from the kitchen, and made up stories about the families we hoped would adopt us someday. Oliver never talked much about his past. The staff said he'd been found by police in a confused state, no ID, no memory. When I asked him about it, he'd just shake his head. "I don't remember much," he'd say softly. "Just a car ride, a house, a man who brought me food, then nothing." "Do you remember your parents?" I once asked. "Sometimes in dreams," he said. "A man, a woman, a house with a red door, but I don't know if it's real." I wanted to help him remember, but I was just a kid too. So instead, I was simply his friend, his family, in the only way I knew how. When I was 12, a couple came to the orphanage, the Lawrences. They were quiet, kind people from Cheyenne. They wanted a daughter and they chose me. I was happy, but terrified and guilty for leaving Oliver behind. The day I left, he hugged me tight. "I'm happy for you, Tessa. Really," he said. "I'll write to you. I'll visit, I promise." But I didn't. The Lawrences were good people, but they wanted me to focus on my new life. Writing to the orphanage felt like looking backward, so I stopped. I told myself Oliver would be fine, that someone would see how special he was. After that, I never went back. The Lawrences gave me a stable home and a chance at a normal life, but I never quite fit in. I always felt like I was pretending to be the perfect adopted daughter. When I turned 18, I told them I wanted to move to New York City. I'd spent my whole life in Wyoming, wide open spaces, small towns, everyone knowing everyone. I wanted the opposite. I wanted to disappear into a city so big that no one would notice me. They were disappointed, but they still helped me. They gave me $2,000 and drove me to the bus station. I arrived in New York with 2 suitcases, $2,000, and a dream of becoming someone. Maybe a writer, maybe a photographer, maybe just someone who mattered. Reality hit hard. New York was expensive, unbelievably expensive. My savings were gone in 2 months. I applied for jobs everywhere, retail, restaurants, offices, but with no degree or experience, no one wanted to hire me. Eventually, I found work at a cleaning company. It paid $18 an hour plus tips. It wasn't glamorous, but it was honest work. For 4 years, I cleaned homes, apartments, townhouses, penthouses. I told myself I'd save up, go to college, and start over. But 4 years later, I was still scrubbing floors and living paycheck to paycheck. Then, one cold Tuesday in October, my boss called with a new assignment. And that's where everything changed. "Tessa, I've got a special job for you," my boss said over the phone. "High-profile client. Penthouse in Tribeca. He's very particular, wants someone reliable and discreet. I'm sending you." "What's the address?" I asked. She gave me the details. The pay was better than usual, $200 for 4 hours of deep cleaning, plus whatever tip the client decided to leave. I'd done similar jobs before. Wealthy clients could be demanding, but if you met their standards, the tips were generous. I took the subway to Tribeca, found the building, a sleek glass tower overlooking the Hudson River, and checked in with the doorman. "I'm here to clean Mr. McGree's penthouse," I said. He nodded. 32nd floor, service elevator, to your left." The elevator doors opened directly into the penthouse, and when I stepped out, I froze. It was breathtaking. Floor-to-ceiling windows bathed the room in golden morning light. The river shimmered below. Marble floors stretched across the space. Every piece of furniture was modern, expensive, the kind of luxury that didn't just whisper wealth, it screamed it. And yet, it felt empty. The client wasn't home, which was typical. Most of them avoided being around when I worked. They preferred not to see the help. I set down my cleaning supplies and started in the kitchen. It was spotless. Clearly, this was someone who didn't cook much. Still, I wiped the counters, polished the stainless steel, and organized the pantry. Then I moved into the living room. That's when I saw it. Above the fireplace hung a massive oil painting, a portrait of a young boy, maybe 6 or 7 years old. Dark hair, blue eyes, a striped shirt, a toy airplane in his hands. He was smiling. My cleaning cloth slipped from my hand. My heart began to pound. I knew that face. "Oliver," I whispered. It couldn't be. It just couldn't. But those eyes, those familiar, innocent eyes, I'd looked into them every day for 6 years back in Meadowbrook Orphanage. What was his portrait doing here, in a penthouse in Tribeca? I was still staring when I heard footsteps behind me. A man's voice broke the silence. "Can I help you?" I spun around. He was in his late 40s, tall, well-dressed, dark hair graying at the temples. He looked exhausted, like someone who carried too many years of sleepless nights. I'm sorry," I stammered. "I'm Tessa from the cleaning company. I didn't realize you were home." "That's all right," he said, walking past me toward his office. "I just came back to grab some files. I'll be out of your way in a moment." I should have gone back to work. I should have, but I couldn't take my eyes off that painting. "Sir," I finally said, my voice trembling. He paused. "Yes." "That boy, in the portrait, what's his name?" His expression changed, softening and darkening at once. "Why do you ask?" I swallowed hard. Because I know him. That boy lived with me in an orphanage. His name is Oliver." The man froze. "What did you just say?" "That boy, his name is Oliver. We lived together at Meadowbrook Orphanage in Wyoming. I was 6 when he arrived. He was my best friend." The folders he was holding slipped from his hands. Papers scattered across the floor. "That's impossible," he whispered. "I'm not lying," I said, shaking. "I know him, I know that face. We grew up together." He walked toward me slowly, like he was afraid I'd vanish. "You lived with him in Wyoming." "Yes," I said softly. "Meadowbrook Orphanage in Casper. He arrived when he was about 7 or 8. Quiet, always drawing airplanes. The staff said he was found by police, confused, with no memory of his family. The only clue he had was a t-shirt with the word Oliver stitched on it, so that's what they called him." The man pressed his hand over his mouth. Tears filled his eyes. He loved planes, I went on. He said he wanted to be a pilot someday. He stayed there until I was adopted in 2013. After that, I never saw him again. He turned abruptly, went to a cabinet, and pulled out a photo album. His hands were trembling as he flipped through the pages, then he held one open toward me. Is this him? I looked. A family photo, a younger version of the man before me, a woman and a little boy. The same boy from the painting. My breath caught. Yes, that's him, that's Oliver. The man's voice cracked. Who are you? My name is Tessa, I said quietly. Who are you? He took a deep breath. My name is Michael McGree, and that boy Oliver is my son. He was kidnapped 18 years ago. The room started to spin. Kidnapped, I whispered. Michael nodded, tears streaming down his face. It was July 15th, 2006. We were at a playground in Central Park. I turned away for 30 seconds to answer a call. When I looked back, he was gone, just gone. He paused, voice shaking. The police searched for months. There were no witnesses, no ransom, no trace. They told me to accept that he was dead, but I never could. I've been looking for him ever since. My throat tightened. But how did he end up in Wyoming? I don't know, he said, staring blankly at the portrait. The police believed whoever took him moved him across the country to avoid being caught. But without proof, the case went cold. He looked up at me, his voice breaking. That painting, it was commissioned from the last photo I had of him. I look at it every day, wondering if he's out there, wondering if he's okay. I stepped closer, my heart aching for him. Michael, he was alive, at least until 2013. That's when I last saw him. He wiped his eyes, straightening. And you said he was at Meadowbrook Orphanage. Yes. He stood suddenly. I have to go there, I need to find him. Wait, I said. It's been more than 10 years. He might have been adopted or aged out of the system. He could be anywhere. Then we'll find him, Michael said firmly. Please, Tessa, come with me. You know the orphanage. You knew my son. Help me bring him home. I looked at this man, wealthy, powerful, desperate, and in that moment I didn't see success or status. I saw a father who had never stopped searching for his lost child. Yes, I said softly, I'll help you. 2 days later, I was on a private jet to Wyoming. I had never been on a plane before, let alone a private one. Michael had taken care of everything. He cleared my schedule with my cleaning company, paid them for the week I'd miss, and even helped me pack when I admitted I didn't own proper travel luggage. During the flight, Michael showed me everything: police reports, news articles, photos of Oliver as a baby, a toddler, and a 7-year-old. There were home videos of birthdays, holidays, and ordinary family moments. This was his 6th birthday, Michael said, showing me a video of Oliver blowing out candles on a cake shaped like an airplane. He was obsessed with planes even back then. His grandfather, my father, gave him a little red toy plane. Oliver slept with it every night. He still loved planes at Meadowbrook, I said softly. He drew them all the time. Michael closed his eyes, his voice trembling. I can't believe he was alive all this time, all those years, and I didn't know. You couldn't have known, I told him gently. But I should have kept looking. I hired investigators, spent millions, but after 5 years they said it was hopeless. My wife, Oliver's mother, she couldn't take it anymore. The waiting, the not knowing, we divorced in 2011. She's remarried now, living in California. I haven't spoken to her in years. I'm sorry, I said quietly. She did what she had to do to survive, Michael whispered. But I couldn't let go. I kept Oliver's room exactly as it was. I kept his toys, kept hoping that somehow he'd come home. Michael, you need to prepare yourself, I said carefully. Even if Oliver's still in Wyoming, even if we find him, he might not remember you. When I knew him, he barely remembered his life before Meadowbrook. He had fragments, a toy plane, a man and a woman, just feelings more than memories. He didn't know his name or where he came from. I know, Michael said, his voice firm. The police said that can happen with trauma, dissociative amnesia. The mind forgets to protect itself. So even if we find him, I said, He might not know who you are. Michael looked at me steadily. Then I'll remind him. I'll show him who he is, who he was, and I'll give him the choice to come home or not, but at least he'll know he wasn't forgotten. We landed in Casper late that afternoon. Michael had rented a modest car, not a luxury one. I don't want to draw attention, he explained. I guided him to Meadowbrook. The orphanage stood on the edge of town, a large brick building that looked almost exactly as I remembered, just more worn, more tired. We parked and walked toward the entrance. My heart pounded. I hadn't been there in 11 years. A part of me didn't want to go back, but I had to for Oliver, for Michael, for answers. Inside, the lobby smelled the same, industrial cleaner mixed with something indefinable, institutional. A middle-aged woman sat behind the reception desk, looking tired but kind. "Can I help you?" she asked. Michael stepped forward. "My name is Michael McGraw. I'm looking for information about a former resident. His name was Oliver. He would have been here from around 2007 to 2013. The woman frowned. "I'm sorry, sir. We can't release information about former residents. Privacy policies." "I'm his father," Michael said quickly. "Do you have documentation?" she asked. "He was kidnapped 18 years ago. I've been searching for him ever since. Please, I just need to know if he's alive, if he's okay." Her expression softened, but she shook her head. "I understand, sir, but I can't help you without proper legal authorization. You'll need to contact our legal department, file a request, and provide proof of identity." "How long will that take?" Michael asked. "Weeks, maybe months." Michael's jaw tightened. "I don't have months." "I'm sorry, sir. Those are the rules," she said gently. "I can give you the contact information for our legal team." "We don't need your legal team," I said, my frustration rising. "I lived here, I knew Oliver. Can't you at least tell us if he's still here, or where he went?" "I'm sorry," she repeated. Michael turned away, running his hands through his hair, his face filled with helpless frustration. I grabbed the contact card and followed him outside into the fading light. Michael leaned against the car, defeated. "We came all this way for nothing." "There has to be another way," I said. "Someone who worked here back then, someone who might remember Oliver." "Even if they do, they probably can't share anything either." We stood there in silence, thinking, searching for answers. Then I heard a voice behind us. Tessa Smith." I turned. A man stood by the side entrance, tall, lean, dark-haired, late 20s, wearing jeans, a flannel shirt, and work boots. He carried a toolbox. My breath caught. "Oliver." The man squinted at me, then his eyes widened. "Oh my God, it is you. I saw you in the lobby but wasn't sure. I haven't seen you since I was adopted." "I know," I whispered. We stared at each other across the parking lot, 11 years collapsing into one impossible moment. Oliver set down his toolbox and walked toward me slowly. "What are you doing here?" he asked. "It's amazing to see you, but why now?" "I'm here because—" I turned to Michael, who stood frozen, staring at Oliver with an expression I'll never forget, pure shock and hope all at once. "Oliver," I said softly, "there's someone you need to meet." Oliver glanced at Michael, confused. "Who is this?" Michael couldn't speak. Tears streamed down his face as he stared at the boy he had lost so long ago. "Oliver," I said gently, "this is Michael McGraw. My voice broke. "He's your father." Oliver froze. "My what?" "Your father," I said, my voice trembling. "You were kidnapped when you were 7 from New York. You lost your memory. But this man, he's been searching for you for 18 years. Oliver stared at Michael, disbelief and confusion mixing in his eyes. "I don't understand," he whispered. "I don't have a father. I grew up here." Michael finally spoke, his voice shaking. "You have a birthmark on your left shoulder, shaped like a triangle." Oliver's hand moved instinctively to his shoulder. "Your favorite toy was a red airplane," Michael continued softly. "Your grandfather gave it to you for your 6th birthday. You slept with it every night. You wanted to be a pilot when you grew up." Oliver's face went pale. "How do you know that?" Because, Michael whispered, his voice breaking, I'm your father. Your name is Oliver James McGraw, Michael said softly. You were born on March 3rd, 1999. You lived with me and your mother in New York City until July 15th, 2006. That's the day you were taken from us. Oliver's legs gave out, and he dropped onto the curb, staring up at Michael with a mix of disbelief and fear. I remember, he whispered shakily. I remember pieces, a man, a woman, a city skyline, but I thought I imagined it. The staff said I was found with no ID, that nobody was looking for me. I was looking, Michael said, kneeling in front of him. I never stopped. Oliver turned to me, his eyes desperate. Tessa, is this real? It's real, I said gently. I saw your portrait in his house, that's how I knew. I recognized you. Oliver turned back to Michael. His hand trembled as he reached out and touched Michael's face, testing if he was real. Dad, the word came out broken, fragile, uncertain. Michael pulled him into his arms, sobbing. We sat together in that parking lot for over an hour as Oliver and Michael tried to fill in 18 lost years. Oliver spoke slowly, piecing together his memories. I remember playing in a park. A man offered me ice cream. I went with him. He took my hand, put me in a car. We drove for hours, maybe days. I fell asleep. When I woke up, we were in a house surrounded by trees. No neighbors, just silence. He brought me food, told me to be quiet, said my parents would come soon, but they never did. Michael's face tightened with pain. How long were you there? Months, maybe. I don't know. Time felt strange. Then one day, he just stopped coming. I waited and waited, but no one came. No food, no sound. I got scared. Found a window that wasn't locked and climbed out. I ran until I found a road. A police car picked me up. And you couldn't tell them who you were? I asked softly. I tried, Oliver said. But every time I tried to remember, my head hurt. They asked my name, my parents' names, nothing came. So they took me to a hospital and then to Meadowbrook. Didn't they try to find your family? I guess they did, Oliver said quietly. But without a name, without any information, I was just another lost kid. Michael covered his face, shaking. All this time you were alive and I didn't know. What happened to the man? I asked. The one who took you. I don't know, Oliver said. He just disappeared. Maybe he got arrested or maybe he died. Maybe he just left me there. Michael took out his phone and scrolled through old case files. There were ransom demands in the first year after you were taken, anonymous calls and emails. The FBI tried to trace them, but whoever it was knew what they were doing. They wanted $10 million. Did you pay? Oliver asked. I tried, Michael said, voice breaking. We set up a drop 3 times. No one ever showed up. The FBI thought it was a hoax, someone taking advantage of my desperation. Then the messages stopped. They told me the case was closed, that you were gone. I never believed that, Michael said quietly, but they stopped looking. We all sat there in silence, the weight of it all pressing down. So, I said slowly, the kidnapper contacted you, then stopped. Around the same time Oliver says he stopped coming to the house. That means he probably died or got arrested. Can you find out? Oliver asked. I want to know who took me and why. I'll hire investigators, Michael promised. We'll get answers. Then he looked directly at Oliver. But first, will you come home with me to New York? Oliver hesitated. I don't know if I can just leave. I have a job here, a life. What kind of job? I work as the maintenance guy and groundskeeper at Meadowbrook, Oliver said. When I turned 18, I had nowhere to go. The director offered me a job, room, and board in exchange for keeping the place running. It's not much, but it's something. Michael's voice cracked. Oliver, you don't have to live like that anymore. You have a home, a family. But I don't remember it, Oliver said quietly. I don't remember you, not really. Then let me help you remember, Michael said earnestly. Come to New York, see the house you grew up in. Your room is still there, exactly how you left it. See the photos, the videos, the life you had. And if after all that you still want to come back here, I'll bring you back. But please, give me a chance. Oliver looked at me. Tessa, what should I do? I thought for a moment. Oliver, I know this is overwhelming, but I think you owe it to yourself to see the truth, to know where you came from. You've spent 18 years not knowing. Don't you want to? Oliver was silent for a long time. Then he nodded. Okay, I'll come, but just for a visit, no promises. Will my mother be there? He asked quietly. Michael exhaled. Your mother, Hillary, I'll call her. She'll meet us there. One day later, the three of us flew to New York. Oliver was nervous the whole flight. He had never been on a plane, at least not when he remembered. Michael showed him more photos and home videos. Some things sparked faint recognition. The red toy airplane, the layout of the penthouse, but they felt distant, like dreams. When we arrived, Oliver stood frozen in the entryway. I've been here before, he whispered. You lived here until you were 7, Michael said softly. He led Oliver down a quiet hallway to a door that had been closed for 18 years. Slowly, he opened it. Oliver's childhood bedroom looked untouched. Bed neatly made, toys lined on shelves, books stacked carefully, airplane posters on the walls. On the nightstand sat a small red toy plane. Oliver walked to it slowly, picked it up, and turned it in his hands. I remember this, he said, his voice trembling. Grandpa gave it to me. He died before I was taken. Yes, Michael said gently, 6 months before. Oliver sat on the edge of the bed, tears falling. I thought I made all of this up. I thought it was just dreams, but it was real. Michael sat beside him. It was real. You were loved. You are loved. And I know you don't remember everything yet, but Oliver, you're home now. Finally. Oliver looked at him, voice breaking. I want to remember. I want to know who I was, but I'm scared. Scared of what? Michael asked softly. That I won't be that person anymore, that I'll disappoint you. Michael smiled through tears. You could never disappoint me. You're alive, that's all that matters. Just then, a voice called from the doorway. Oliver. A woman stood there, trembling. I came as fast as I could. Mom. Oliver stood and she ran to him. They held each other, both crying, both shaking. Over the next 2 months, Oliver stayed with Michael and Hillary. He met therapists who specialized in trauma and memory recovery. They went through photo albums, watched old home videos, and visited the places from his childhood. Some memories returned, while others stayed hidden. The therapist explained gently that Oliver might never remember everything, that some parts of his mind had built walls to survive. And maybe those walls were never meant to come all the way down. Slowly, Oliver began to come to terms with his past, learning to integrate the boy he once was with the man he had become. Michael hired investigators to uncover the truth behind his kidnapping. 2 months later, they delivered a report. The kidnapper's name was Dennis Warren, a former low-level employee at one of Michael's companies, fired 6 months before Oliver was taken for embezzlement. The FBI had investigated him briefly back then, but dismissed him because of a fabricated alibi. Dennis had abducted Oliver, keeping him in a secluded cabin in rural Wyoming and sending ransom demands. In August 2007, Dennis was arrested in Montana for armed robbery, a reckless crime that led to a 20-year prison sentence. He died in 2015 of a heart attack, never revealing Oliver's whereabouts. Since Oliver couldn't remember his identity, no one ever connected the dots. He's dead, Michael told Oliver softly. He can't hurt you anymore. Oliver nodded slowly. Good. 6 months after discovering Oliver's portrait in Michael's penthouse, I returned to that living room for a far happier reason: dinner. Michael had invited me over. When I arrived, both he and Oliver were smiling. Tessa, sit down, Michael said warmly. We have something to tell you. I sat on the couch, nervous. Is everything okay? Everything's better than okay, Oliver said, his voice full of warmth. He looked different from 6 months ago, healthier, happier, at ease in his own skin. I'm staying in New York with my father, he said. Really? I'm not going back to Wyoming. This is home now. I remember enough, and even the parts I don't, I want to make new memories here. I felt tears prick my eyes. Oliver, I'm so happy for you. Michael smiled. There's more. Oliver's going back to school. He wants to study aerospace engineering. You're going to be a pilot." Oliver grinned. "Or design planes. I haven't decided yet." Michael turned to me, serious. "And Tessa, I want to do the same for you. You brought my son back to me. You gave me the greatest gift anyone could give. I can never repay that, but I want to try. You came to New York with dreams. Let me help you achieve them." I looked at Michael and Oliver, at these two people whose lives had been shattered and were now slowly being rebuilt. "Okay," I said. "Thank you, both of you." Oliver hugged me tightly. "Thank you, Tessa, for remembering me. I could never forget you." 2 years later, I'm sitting in a classroom at NYU, studying journalism. I'm writing this story as part of my senior thesis, the story of how I helped reunite a father and son separated for 18 years. Oliver is now in his second year at Columbia, studying aerospace engineering. He and Michael live in the penthouse. Hillary splits her time between them and California with her husband. They're building their relationship slowly, piece by piece. Michael never remarried. He says Oliver is enough family for him, though I sometimes think he's lonely. I visit when I can. I often think about the portrait above Michael's fireplace, the 7-year-old boy frozen in time. Oliver had wanted Michael to replace it with a current photo, but Michael refused. "That boy is part of your story," he said. "We don't erase him, we honor him. He survived something terrible. He deserves to be remembered." I'm no longer cleaning houses. Some nights, studying in my dorm, I think about the day I walked into a penthouse and recognized that face. How easily I could have stayed silent, finished my job, and left. But I didn't. I spoke up, and that choice changed 3 lives forever. I'm not sure I believe in fate, but I do believe this. Sometimes, the people we meet in our lowest moments end up being the most important in our lives. Oliver was my friend when I was a lonely child in an orphanage, and 18 years later, I was able to return him to the family he lost. That feels like more than coincidence. It feels like purpose. Last month, Oliver called me with exciting news. "Tessa, remember how I used to draw airplanes at Meadowbrook?" he asked. "Of course," I said. "You filled entire notebooks with them." "Well," he said, "I'm designing one now for my class project, a small electric aircraft. It probably won't get built, but I'm naming it the Tessa." I went quiet. "You gave me my life back," he said softly. "Both lives, the one I lost and the one I'm building now. This is my way of saying thank you." I cried, and I wasn't ashamed to admit it. Michael invited me to Thanksgiving at his penthouse. Oliver had helped decorate, and for the first time, I felt the warmth of belonging. Over dessert, Michael raised his glass. "To Tessa, who brought my son home." We clinked glasses, and I felt a joy I hadn't known since I was 12, the day the Hendersons adopted me. For the first time in years, I truly felt like I belonged. There are still mysteries we may never solve. Dennis Warren's cabin in Wyoming was found abandoned, with little evidence remaining. Many Meadowbrook records from Oliver's time have been lost. We'll probably never know every detail of those months, but Oliver says it's enough. "I know enough," he told me. "I survived, I found my way out, and someone was looking for me even when I couldn't. That's enough." Sometimes I wonder what would have happened if I'd taken a different cleaning job that day. If my boss had sent someone else. If I had been too shy to speak up. Oliver might still be living in that small Meadowbrook room. Michael might still be alone in his penthouse, mourning a son who seemed lost forever. Oliver graduated last May. Michael, Hillary, and I were there, cheering the loudest as he walked across the stage to receive his degree in aerospace engineering. Later, we posed for photos outside Columbia, Oliver in cap and gown. Michael had the photo framed. It now sits next to the portrait of 7-year-old Oliver, past and present, loss and recovery, everything slowly being made whole. I graduate next month. Michael and Oliver will be at my ceremony. Oliver says he'll bring a sign that reads, "That's my, though we're not related by blood." "You're more my sister than anyone," he told me once. "You knew me when I had nothing, no name, no family, no past. You were my family then, you're my family now." After graduation, I'm starting a job as a reporter for a nonprofit news organization. It's not glamorous, but it matters. Tell the stories of kids who fall through the cracks, I said to Michael. Make sure they're not forgotten. Oliver would have been one of them if not for you, he said. Exactly. Maybe I can help find a few more, I replied. Sometimes people ask me if I believe in miracles. I used to say no. I grew up in an orphanage. I saw too many children pray for families and never get them. But now, I'm not so sure. What are the odds? A cleaning lady from Wyoming ends up in a New York penthouse, notices a portrait, recognizes a face from 12 years ago. That boy is alive. Nearby, findable. 18 years of searching ended because someone with a dust cloth decided to speak up. It wasn't luck. It felt like the universe bending, just slightly, toward justice. Have you ever reconnected with someone from your past, and it changed both your lives? Share your story in the comments. If this story about impossible reunions and the power of paying attention touched your heart, please hit the like button and subscribe for more inspiring stories every day. Don't forget the notification bell so you never miss our next tale. Sometimes, the smallest act of recognition can change everything.